something a while back when I was desperately seeking on the path. The path to what? The path to wholeness, you could call it. Or you could call it life, the universe, the ground of being, the self, the higher self, Brahman, Allah, the Eternal One. But what's in a name, right? It is what the name represents, really. It is the one that is sought after in all the paths. And it is like the finger pointing at the moon. Just think of a finger pointing at the moon and we just keep looking at the finger. We keep looking at the finger all the time, but not at the moon. And that's what I think we do when we get caught up in words, in the semantics. So let's look at the moon instead. By that, you know what I mean. I mean the one who is sought after in all the parts. So what I read was that belief is a stepping stone to trust. And that resonated with me deeply in my bones. Because you see, I didn't want belief. I didn't want belief at all. Because I had figured that belief could be passed down to you through your family, through your tribe, through people before you who had beliefs. And I wanted something bigger. I wanted knowing. I wanted what Carl Jung had in his eyes when I remember at that time I was watching an interview on YouTube, and the interviewer had asked him whether he believed in God. And remember, this is a black and white interview from many, many years ago, and it's not a YouTuber asking this question where we can openly speak about things like this, but this was on television, and here's this cold interviewer who's like, so, because you are, psychiatrist, you are a scientific person, right? So he's like, so, do you believe in God? And Carl Jung says, no, because I know. And at that time, I still remember the flicker of joy and play in his eyes. And I was like, I want that. That is what I want. I don't want belief. But anyway, coming back to what I was saying, belief was the stepping stone to trust. But I didn't know that then. I hadn't heard, I hadn't read that yet. But here I was, lost, desperately seeking, looking into Carl Jung's eyes through YouTube. And I was like, that is what I want. And then there was Trungpa Rinpoche. And I read this by someone who actually knew him. And he said that he had asked him, what is the most important thing for us to know? At the end of all of this, here we are, we do all these practices, these meditations, we do, we sit here in satsang, we do all of this. But what is the thing that we really, really need to know? And Rinpoche said, trust. That is the most important thing. Trust. Trust in life. Trust in what is. And I thought of it this morning while I was getting ready for work. And I was like, I have to make a video about this. I have to share this. And then I went to work and you know what it's like. Life happens. Things get crazy. You get so busy. You come back home exhausted. And, the idea for the video could just go away just like that, just like what's been happening to me for the past few weeks. But today was different. Today I came back home. In fact, on the drive home, I had a very, very big challenge, a challenge in my life. I won't get into the details, but it was definitely something that made my heart ache, that made me anxious and worried. And it also was something that seemed like there was no solution in sight. There was no easy solution at all. And I came back home and I was sitting in a corner and completely caught up in my thoughts, completely banging thoughts around in my head. But also these weren't just made up thoughts, but this is because I was faced with a real life situation. And inside of me was so much of I don't know the word, because worry seems like a thing in the head, but you get it, right? I was feeling really down. And then I remembered the video I was going to make, and I said, what if I actually trusted life at this point? And, I've always meant to practice what I preach. And in fact, I never tell you anything unless I feel like I've lived it, unless I've experimented with it and can speak from a place of lived experience. But today was very challenging. And today felt like it was the toughest of times to put my preaching into practice. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to trust. I'm going to trust in that one that is sought after in all the paths. And I went and took a nap. And I can tell you this, if you are watching this video, I think you need to hear this. That when I woke up to a completely different world. It was as if one gigantic leap had already been taken in a step towards a solution. And it didn't even come from me, but it was taken. And sure, the problem itself hasn't been resolved because that takes time, and time is something that takes time, and that's not something that can be tampered with. But I'm here speechless because it's hard to even describe it. It's like all of my worry is gone. And all I need to do is keep trusting. So if you're here and if you stayed, that was a message for you. And even if you haven't reached a point where you trust, but you believe, then this message is for you too. Just remember that belief is a stepping stone to trust. Bye.